2023. It is a pleasure to be with you guys this morning. God bless every single one of you that is watching. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for sharing this video. Like the video, share the video, like it on YouTube, like it on Facebook. And this is clearly uh, one of the things that I have. It is, and we still have, is the freedom to talk, the freedom to speak. And today we are speaking as not only as journalists, as documenters, reporters, but also as a Mexican citizen. And directing, I just saw a video, another colleague of mine, another journalist of mine, that he's located in the city of Guadalajara, and another one that is located in Monterrey, just shoot me this video of the politician, uh, Dan Crenshaw, which I saw, you know, carefully, little by little. I saw everything, every word that he has been saying. Also, I saw a past statement of him directing himself to one of the most uh, important leaders of cartels in our country, that is Ismael El Mayo Zambada, and that he has been in the eye of the United States government for the longest time, and they haven't been able to capture. And this is my opinion on this particular circumstance. Clearly, before I put up this video that I am putting up right here, it is the Mexican president speaking to, specifically, indirectly, to Dan Crenshaw or to certain people in the Republican Party, that they are, in a way, threatening to come into the country, or they want to basically come into a sovereign country that is Mexico, to attack the cartels, because the Mexican government has been completely incompetent to control that problem. As a Mexican citizen, I can tell you, and I will tell you this in the most honest way. And I'm doing this in English because the American audience needs to know the perspective as a Mexican citizen of how we feel about this. A lot of Mexicans, the majority of the country, will love for this to end. This president, it is one of the most incompetent presidents in the history of our country. Clearly, he is. The economy is bad. He has only brought international investors. The only ones that I can see is Tesla. He just arrived to Monterrey. Other than that, bring me another one. The economy is not doing good. Insecurity, it is one of the worst in history. He has under his belt more than 140,000 murders due to cartel activity and violence and delinquents. He has 8 cities on the top 10 for violence and delinquents. He has 8 cities. Out of those 8 cities, 3 of them or 4 of them are borders, with most violence and insecurity in the history of Mexico. Clearly, he likes the communist and globalist ideologies. I don't agree with him. Since he started, he sold us this populist that he was going to help our country and put our people first. He has been blocked by several of the political parties of the opposition to do certain things. I'm not going to lie about that. And a lot of it has to do with the past presidents that, they did a horrible job in our country. I'm not going to lie about that either. The right-wing political parties in our country have been so corrupt, and they have destroyed also our capitalism and our economy. AMLO has tried, but he has failed, and his policy of hugs and no bullets is not working at all. The killings of women, insecurity of women is growing every day. And the opposition and the left in Mexico says that it's because of the past governments all the time. No solution. Always blame. Always blame. Sounds like the Democrats. But today he gave out a statement. And this is what it said. And today I'm directing myself to this particular political character by the name of Dan Crenshaw. Apparently, he served in the military in the United States, and he's a political figure in the United States. This is what the Mexican president said today, and I am going to agree with him on 50% of what he's saying, because the other 50% is his problem. He's the one that he was in the mountains shaking hands with the mother of El Chapo Guzman. He's the one that he's saying on the morning conference that criminal activities and organized crime needs to have also the human rights, and we need to respect them. He's the one that let go Ovidio Guzman, the son of El Chapo Guzman. He's the one that has done so multiple agreements with the organized crime. He's the one, not nobody else, him. And ultimately, today he responds to specifically some characters of the Republican Party. And this is what is the actual situation. This is the actual situation. And if people don't agree with it, what I'm saying, you can actually leave. Really, it's really easy. You can actually pick your things and leave if you don't agree with it. It's easy. We know that we have a big problem with Andrés Manuel López Obrador. It is a reality. You saw it in a protest not too long ago in Mexico City, where hundreds of thousands were coming out against his leftist policies. We have a big problem with him. Every time that he gets questioned about the insecurity due to cartel activity, he comes with the same argument that is because of the past presidents, that is because of the past governments, that is because of the neoliberals, that is because of this, because of that. He never accepts guilt, or he never accepts his failure of his security policies in our country. I'm a Mexican citizen. I live in Mexico. This is what he said. And I will agree with him on 50% of this. And the other 50%, I am not agreeing with it, because he is part of the problem. Now, let me put this video, and I will direct myself to Dan Crenshaw after this, to Mr. Crenshaw after this. And I will translate this video for every single one of you. Look what he says.
Lo admitimos. A México se le respeta.
We will not admit. You will respect Mexico.
No somos un protectorado de Estados Unidos.
We are not a protector of the United States.
Ni una colonia de Estados Unidos.
We are not either a colony of the United States.
México es un país libre, independiente.
Mexico is a free country and an independent country.
Soberano.
Sovereign country.
Nosotros no recibimos órdenes de nadie.
We don't receive orders from nobody.
Aquí manda el pueblo de México.
Here, the people of Mexico are the ones that they take the decisions.
Entonces, eso también quería dejarlo de manifiesto.
So that I wanted to leave that as a manifest.
Para irnos entendiendo.
So we can understand ourselves.
Porque esto ellos lo están haciendo.
Because they're using this
con propósitos propagandísticos.
Just as propaganda.
Ya agarraron lo del fentanilo que.
They just grabbed the agenda of the fentanyl.
Es responsabilidad de México.
They're saying that is the responsibility of Mexico.
Aquí nosotros no producimos fentanilo.
In Mexico, we don't produce fentanyl.
Y nosotros no tenemos consumo de fentanilo.
And we don't have a high consume of fentanyl in Mexico.
Y lamentamos mucho lo que está pasando en Estados Unidos.
And we are really saddened of what is happening in the United States with the consume of fentanyl.
¿Pero por qué no atienden ellos el problema?
But why they don't attend the United States? Why they don't attend this problem?
¿Por qué ellos no combaten la distribución del fentanilo?
Why they don't combat the distribution of fentanyl inside of the United States?
En Estados Unidos. Los carteles de Estados Unidos que se encargan de distribuir.
The cartels that they are in charge of distribution of fentanyl inside of the United States,
El fentanilo, y más a fondo.
and more deeper than that.
¿Por qué no atienden a sus jóvenes?
Why they don't attend their youth? That is one of the statements from the president today. Now, I am going to be honest and transparent as a Mexican citizen. First and foremost, for people that are just joining in, if you don't like what I'm saying, you're free to comment. But ultimately, I'm not going to put attention to your garbage comments that they're in. If you're trying to insult and you're, and be illiterate in some kind of situations, I'm just going to leave it right there. You can comment this whenever you want. You're free to comment. As a Mexican citizen, I will tell you this. As a Mexican citizen, I will tell you this. This is one of the most insecure presidents in Mexican history. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt in me as a Mexican, I will tell you, this is one of the most insecure presidents in history, with Felipe Calderón, a failed war against the cartel. Ultimately, Salinas de Gortari, that he created the most economical disaster in our country. But AMLO has been the most insecure president in history. There's no other president in our country that has been more insecure than AMLO. No one. For Mr. Dan Crenshaw, you're directing yourself as you want to designate the cartels as terrorists. Believe me, all of the Mexican citizens, we want to designate them as terrorists. We really want to, because that is what they are. And that is what they have done to our country. Brought terrorism into our schools, into our streets, into our houses, into our neighborhoods, communities, cities. That is what they have done. We want to designate them also as terrorists. We support you on that. That doesn't give you the right to come in here. Call them terrorists. Do as whatever you want. But that doesn't give you the right to come into a sovereign country. Remember, you are preaching to the Mexican government, to the Mexican cartels, but you are directing also to the Mexican people. The majority, 90% of the population wants this to end. We want to be a first-class world country. We have one of the, Mexico, it is a top distributor of a cheap man labor in the world. We are hardworking people. We have really intelligent businessmen, important international companies in our country. By you saying that you want to designate them as terrorists and enter with your military into our country, it is not only opposing a threat to the government, but you're opposing a threat to our people. Now, let me address you for a minute. You're saying that you want to come in here and do as you want. You're saying that you want to come in here and particularly you want to come in here and destroy and attack. Let me tell you something, Mr. Crenshaw. Mexico, it is the biggest trampoline of narcotics to the world and to the United States. But the number one consumer of narcotics, who is it? I will stay quiet for just 10 seconds. And I want you to think, because you're a politician, you should have this 10 steps in front of your strategy. The number one consumer of narcotics in the world, who is it? I will stay quiet. So if you know who is the number one consumer, without the consumer, there's no distribution. Without the consumer, there's no money. Without the consumer, there's no product. Without the consumer, there's no problem. So if you have an interior problem, as the Mexican president said, we have an incompetent president. I will give you that. We have a president that is possibly friends with the cartel. I will give you that. But if you have a problem inside of your country with distribution, how about you start addressing in your country of the United States of America to all the organized crime that is working and distributing fentanyl in the United States of America? How about you start addressing the cartels that they're distributing inside of your country, and they're distributing on high amounts of fentanyl to your American people? How about you start designating the people that they're organized and they are distributing narcotics inside of your country as terrorists first? Do you know what happened? And I will address you, Mr. Crenshaw. Why you don't start designating Black Lives Matter as a terrorist organization? They're destroying cities. They're attacking culture. How about you don't designate Antifa as a terrorist organization? They're destroying cities. They're destroying culture. They're destroying your youth. How about you don't designate certain politicians as terrorists, that they're voting for open border policies, that they do not want to protect your border, that they do not want to protect a sovereign nation like you are, that they do not want to protect your youth like you are, that they do not want to produce a better program for addiction like it's happening in your country, that you have a big addiction problem and there's no programs. But the only solution, instead of solutioning with this, is with this. You want to come here, eliminate an organized crime that is the responsibility of Mexico. It is not your responsibility. Now, you want accountability? You have the balls, Mr. Crenshaw, to tell that this is Mexico's problem, the fentanyl. I would like for you, as you have two pair between your legs, to have the same pair and be standing in front of the people that they are making the actual liquid, the actual product of fentanyl. Do you know which country is that? The one that also almost controls your economy. The one that caused an economical collapse in 2020. Do you have the balls to be standing and say this product is coming from over there, and we are going to go over there and try to fix that problem from where it's distributing to this place and to this place? Do you have those balls? Clearly, it is all propaganda. You're trying to look like Macho Man Randy Savage, trying to look like a badass and like a bad guy. We're trying to do this. Instead of creating programs for security, instead of voting for border policies that will actually protect the American citizens, the United States citizens, instead of attacking the problem within, that you have dirty politicians that they're voting for open border policies with a massive trafficking of humans, massive and increasing trafficking of fentanyl, massive increasing trafficking of cocaine into your country. You want to threaten another country instead of fixing the root of the problem inside of your Congress, inside of your Senate, with all these dirty politicians that they should be designated as terrorists because of their open border policies, it is affecting your border, my border, and border towns. And it is incentivizing the cartel to grow and grow and grow and to have power over every single border. Right? You don't want to talk about the country that is actually distributing this because it actually will have an economical impact and you will create really a barely bad animosity. You don't want that right now. Congress people that they're voting for open border policies, those are the ones that they should be designated as terrorists. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Alexandra Ocasio, Veronica Escobar, Gavin Newsom. All these rhinos that you guys have in your Congress, in your Senate. Where is the border security with that? Do you know, Mr. Crenshaw, what happened with the past president, the 45th president? Do you know what happened with him? Do you know how he decreased the level of criminality in the borders that actually had the economy boosting in all border towns? I'm just throwing it out there. A lot of people are going to say you're a fan. No, I'm not a fan, but he clearly fixed the problem. He talked to the Mexican president, the 45th president, and he said, if you're not going to fix this problem, I will put a threat of a tariff into your country. And it will automatically affect the middle class and the lower class families. You fix this problem. Immediately, the investor, the businessman, the people that they're investing on their machinery, on the product, that there's distribution into the United States and into the world, because Mexico exports and imports from the world. Immediately, they fix the security in the borders. Caravans stopped coming in from south of the border. And security started implementing and getting stronger and stronger at every border, little by little. Because the businessman started pushing the politicians to do their jobs. Actually, hitting them in the pockets, it is where you need to be addressing, not using a gun, using your brain. Instead of using a gun, use your brain. This is where international relations, it is a bright star. This is where you see a politician, if he has future in politics or not. When you see a guy that has been into war, that I'm not going to take that away from you, Mr. Crenshaw, or you serve in your military, I'm not taking that away from you. But when you see a guy like that stands in front and he has in front of a camera and he stands like a tough guy, and he says, we're going in there, we're going to take them out, and we're going to come in. What happens to you? The problem is in your country. It's in your schools. It's in your system. The distribution, it is in your country. And the distribution of this product is coming from a foreign country that clearly has ties with the Mexican cartels. How do you interfere on that? Instead of creating a relation and try to talk to politicians to say, you know what, we need to solution this. How do we start from this? This is where politicians shine. It is called international relations. Instead of having relations, what you're doing, Mr. Crenshaw, is you're creating animosity. We know that we have a problem in Mexico. We know that we have 8 cities on the top 10 for violence and delinquents and for cartel activity. We know that. We know that we have more than 140,000 murders in our country, and our country is doing bad right now with corrupt politicians, that they do not want to leave power. We got certain dinosaurs that they want to be kicked out, and they're causing all of this violence and distribution. We know that they're doing that. But instead of creating a relation, instead of finding a solution, what you find your way is to stand in front of a camera and threatening the Mexican country, because you're directing yourself to the Mexican country. You're not directing yourself to the Mexican politicians and to the governments. You're doing it in general because you don't have the balls to do it personally. This is the way that it needs to be resolved. Mexico is a sovereign country, whether people like it or whether people do not like it, whether people agree with it or if you don't agree with it. We are all a sovereign country. We stand with our flag. We stand with our Constitution. We try to do things right, but we live under a corrupt system that involves the cartel and it controls politicians. How do you eradicate this root? How do you eradicate this problem? If it's already in your country, Mr. Crenshaw, you start eliminating it from within. And then after that, with your border policies, with your security policies, and ultimately pushing your politicians to stop being part of the problem, because it looks like a lot of politicians in your country are being bought off by the cartel. Multi-billion business, I will tell you that. After you start eradicating and eliminating the problem within, now you're pushing Mexico to do exactly the same. You don't push Mexico to fix the problem and then you will fix yours. No, sirree. No. You have a big problem inside of your country, and the number one consumer of narcotics, sadly, it is the United States of America. Sadly, it is. You have a big problem in your country. Instead of designating other people of cartels, of terrorist organizations, that I agree with you, they should be designated. You have schools in your country that are designated parents of domestic terrorists because they're defending their childs as against this woke ideology and transgenderism. Priorities. A word that is going away from the dictionary, from the Webster's dictionary, from the La Gran Academia Española, from the Great Academy of Spain, from all. Priority. It is a word that is eliminating little by little, is going word by word, eliminating himself. It is decreasing. It is taking away the power of the word priority. You got a cancer now. And it is a huge, huge problem inside of the United States, as we also have a problem with this president. I'm not going to lie. He goes and he shakes the hands with the mother of El Chapo Guzman in a mountain. He goes on a morning conference and he says, hey, you know what? Criminals also have human rights and we need to respect them. Disgusting. A journalist stood up in front of him and said, Mr. President, a female journalist said, Mr. President, my friend just got raped. What we should do? The president said, you should go and hug the rapist and forgive him. We have an incompetent president when he wants to bring solutions of security. It's all about love, and it's all about this leftist ideologies that do not work. But also you need to understand, Mr. Crenshaw, that right-wing politicians have not worked also in Mexico. To eradicate the problem in our country, you have to speak to the right people and the people of power, the business people, the people that have the ties and they have the spider web, that they control the whole country. Those are the people that you need to address. Don't address the Mexican people. We don't want this problem either. Our country, we love it. We love our country. We respect our country. We respect our flag. We don't have this culture like you have in the United States where our youth is burning our flag. We don't do that over here. That is a crime over here, sir. In schools, when the national anthem is being played, everybody stands up, sir. I don't know if your schools are doing that, but I believe that you have a problem in your schools with that. Everybody stands and they stand to the flag and they salute the flag with their national anthem. I don't know if you have a problem with it. I believe that you have a problem with it. We don't have a problem with it, sir. We don't kneel down to our national anthem when it's being played in a football game or a soccer game or a basketball game, sir. We stand up and we salute our flag, sir. Woke ideologies are not being approved in our Congress, sir. I don't know if you're being approved. I think you have a problem with that, sir. We don't have radical groups, leftist Marxist groups right now running our cities like Antifa, sir. I think you have a problem with that, sir, in Portland. We don't have radical divisive groups that they're dividing our country because of color. Well, the majority of Mexico, it is brown like me, but we don't have those kind of groups, sir. And you have it. It's called Black Lives Matter, sir. They're domestic terrorists, and they're clearly destroying the security and dividing your country, sir. We have dirty politicians. You're not a saint, sir. Look at what you have. Look what Ilhan Omar has done to Minnesota. Look what Rashida Tlaib is doing to Michigan. Look what Lori Lightfoot did to Chicago. Look what Gavin Newsom is doing to California. Look what Veronica Escobar just did to El Paso. Look at all the dirty politicians that you have. Those are your domestic terrorists. Those are the people that they're not voting for the security of your country. Those are the people that they should be addressing little by little to control your schools, to talk to your youth, to have programs of recovery and addiction. Instead of a war, instead of interfering in another country. How did Afghanistan win, sir? You want to do that right now? When you have a president that just left behind soldiers in Afghanistan? Clearly, you know the priorities of your government right now. He represents you. He is your president, whether you like it or not. A coward man left his fellow soldiers behind in Afghanistan, standing in front of the military when it was brought off, looking at his watch. That man that falls when he goes up a plane and when he comes down a plane. How did that go? And now you want to cause another animosity problem with another country that you should have a great relation. He left the U.S. citizens stranded also in Afghanistan. And you want to cause animosity now with your neighbor. Instead of creating a problem, instead of creating a solution. This is what radical politicians look like. They take solution in guns instead of brain. Use your brain. You want to end this? Look where the problem is coming. I think that you know. It is logical, Mr. Crenshaw. It is logical that you know where the problem is coming from, where the distribution of fentanyl is coming from. You know, I know. It is a clear attack on your country from this country that knows what they're doing, that they have created this narcotic to clearly attack you, and they're using Mexico as a trampoline to do that. We know that the cartels control our politicians and control certain areas of cities. Do you know how many people in Michoacan, they're fleeing their land because the cartels control that? We don't want that either. Do you know how many people in Guerrero, they're fleeing their place because the cartels control there? Do you know that? We know that they are domestic terrorists. We know that they are terrorists. Designate them as terrorists, but you cannot come into our country with your guns. You cannot. You need to push the Mexican government to do so. And I will tell you something. Whether the left likes it or not, the past president of the United States of America, the 45th president, had a solution. I'm not don't call me a fan. I'm just saying he had a solution. These people were not learning. These people were not listening. These people were not putting attention. And what they did? Let's put a tariff, a threat. They're not listening. The business people, they're not trying to listen to me. I will get their attention. And that way they will sit down with you. And they will tell you, yes, we have a problem. Let's fix it. Let us push the Justice Department deeper. Let us push the president deeper to fix this problem. Let's lower the distribution. But ultimately, the consumer, you're not accepting blame. Where is your blame? It is really easy to sit down and be all tough and signal, Mexico, Mexico. Where is your blame? You're the number one consumer. Without the consumer, there's no product. It is easy. You're trying to sell something and nobody buys it, you will go broke. Right? Logic of business. You know it, I know it. So where is you fixing the problem by within? Priorities. You're not taking your youth as a priority. Americans are coming into Mexico to use fentanyl. They're finding a way to come over here and use it. Find a way for them to stay in their country and do productive situations. Your youth to do productive situations. That's what you need to do. Animosity created between us, it is not the way. Divisive solutions and politicians, they're not adjustable for nowadays. Solutions that they will create a better future for you, for me, for the security of your citizens and us, that is what we need. War is never a solution. Never. Hit them in the pockets, Mr. Crenshaw. Hit them where it hurts. Use your brain. Don't use your 9mm. Use this brain. I think you have one. I have it. You have it. Use it. Because you speaking like this, imagine Mexican citizens, we feel afraid for the cartels. Every day is our daily dose of insecurity. We hear gunshots every now and then. You know, crossfires or every day, dismembered bodies here and there. And it is happening on the side of your border. It's happening next door to your town. So imagine you now saying we're going to come in. What makes you think that we are, what kind of security are you giving to the normal daily Mexican family? What do you think that they're going to think? Oh, we're going to be secure now. Oh, they're going to come and save us. Do you think that the Mexican cartels, they only have a rifle? That they don't have intelligence? They're well armed and equipped. More than the Mexican military. Use a brain. That's what you need to do. You have a problem in your country. You have a consumer problem in your country. There's no solution for your consumer problem in your country. There's no solution in your schools with your youth in your country. There's no solution for that. There's a comment right here that I would like to read that. Oscar Blue Ramirez, he says, the cartel uses their own military equivalent. No, they don't. You're wrong in that. Wake up, my man. I am awake. I live over here. You don't live over here. Time for a reckoning. Either Mexico does it or the U.S. will. That's a threat, first and foremost. No, you're not coming in here. Mexico will never accept it. And you have a problem in your country of consumer. What makes you think that you don't have corrupt politicians? So you're telling me, Chad Jordan, nice to meet you, man. So you're telling me that your politicians and your Congress people are not to be held accountable for what is happening in your borders? So you're telling me because of the open border policies. No, I'm not sensitive, sir. This is the way I speak. If you're being a liberal and not accepting what I'm saying, I'm sorry. This is my channel. This is the way I speak. It's called freedom of speech. I don't know if you heard of it. Your First Amendment. So you're telling me that you have politicians that they're for open border policies. They're not to be held accountable. So the cartels inside of your country distributing the amounts and tons of fentanyl into your streets, they're not to be held accountable. So these domestic terrorists that they're actually destroying your communities and your societies, they're not to be held accountable. So what happens if we say, you know what, if you're not even, the United States is not even able right now to handle their own problems with Black Lives Matter. You're not even able to handle Antifa. And you want to take on the Mexican cartel? You're not even capable right now to handle a small group that is called Antifa. You're not even capable of handling right now your woke politicians. You're not even capable of passing a law for border security. What makes you think that it's going to be fixed by going in and attacking? If you're not even capable of solutioning with two organized groups that they're working and dividing your country, that you're not even attacking the consumer that is in your streets. What makes you think that you are capable to go into Mexico and provoke a war when you leave your soldiers in Afghanistan and American people stranded? What makes you think that? Sensitive, sir? No, sir. Honesty. Push the Mexican politicians to do their job. Hit them with policies that they will hurt their pockets. And they will learn. Believe me, they will. Believe me, they will. United States citizens right now, they're fighting against the woke ideology. You see a lot of parents now going into schools and fighting against wokeness. And it is something of pride to see that families are standing against your wokeness. But the government every day is more leftist and is more liberal. You're telling me that you want to go into Mexico and fight these groups, that they are terrorists, when you cannot even pass a law to protect your children. Again, sensitivity, no, it's called priority. The United States is going through a war right now, and it is inside. I haven't said it. Multiple presidents of Central and South America, they have said it. The best president of the continent of America, his name is Nayib Bukele. He fixed his country. How did he do it? How do he took out the MS gang? Nobody was investing in El Salvador. Nobody was investing with money in El Salvador. That was why the number one reason why people started migrating from El Salvador to out. The country was controlled by the organized crime. The country was controlled by a gang. He understood that his businessmen would push to a corner where they were not making a buck. Business people. Nayib Bukele is a businessman. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. He came in, sit down with politicians. We need to eradicate this problem because we are not going to have a country anymore. He was being pushed by several politicians in the world. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. We will support you to eradicate and eliminate this problem inside. What he did, he is eradicating this problem. All MS gang members are locked up right now. He created the biggest prison in the whole continent that is called SECOT, the Center of Confinement for Terrorism. All of these domestic terrorists, they are inside of a prison right now, locked up. And he's cleaning up his country, economy boosting, nobody leaving, and the other countries are not saying it is the fault of El Salvador that we have drugs. It is the fault of El Salvador that we have criminals. It is the fault of El Salvador that our country is being insecure and also is being ambushed by all this criminality. Who are the neighbors of El Salvador? Nicaragua, Honduras, in the triangle of Central America, Guatemala. Did you see Nicaragua, Honduras, or Guatemala saying, if you don't fix the problem, we're going to go in with guns? No, right? He was pushed into a corner so he can fix it on his own. It is a domino effect. Now everybody wants to fix the problem. Nicaragua, it is the next one. Little by little. Money, it is the problem. Money, it is the problem. There's a comment right here. It says, and yet Mexican cartels still making that happen through Mexico, and yet you're still buying it. That's my easy response. And they're making it through Mexico because it is coming from where? Where the fentanyl is coming from? Can you tell me? And yet still you're consuming it. And yet still you're buying it. Again, if the product is not being consumed, where is the product? Use your brain. If you're buying a product and you're trying to buy a product, but the buyer, it is eradicated and it is eliminated, what? The product is going to be sold? No, it is not going to be sold. The problem will eradicate. I'm sorry. But sometimes reality and truth hurts a lot of people's feelings. I think that as a final thought, good evening, good morning to all. Good evening to a lot of people. There is a big problem of distribution of fentanyl. We already know that. We already know who's distributing this liquid, this substance, this illicit substance, chemical, into Central America, Mexico, and from there into the #1 consumer of narcotics in the world, that is the United States. It's pouring into the United States. This man by the name, Mr. Crenshaw, instead of finding a solution in your borders with border policies, border security, and ultimately to go to your schools and to go to your communities, to try to stop the distribution with the organized crime that is operating inside your country, that those are domestic terrorists. These individuals point the finger to other countries where we need to fix our problems. We need to fix our problems. Mexico needs to be held accountable and responsible for what they are doing to their own people. You're not even speaking about, you're only speaking about the American people. But because of your open border policies, it is affecting Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Panama, Costa Rica, Colombia, Venezuela, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil. Your open border policies, it shows people from all across the world are coming to your country. It is affecting borders. It is affecting countries. It is affecting societies, communities. So if you know that you have a globalist compact and you are part of a globalist compact of agreements and you're a collaborator of open border policies, you know what comes with open border policies. You know that a lot of these, if you don't have border security and you intend to intensify border security in your ports of entry, you will never have a solution for it. Another thing that Mr. Crenshaw, before I leave, just food for thought for you to understand. The majority of the people that they're being arrested in the ports of entry, trafficking fentanyl into the United States of America, are United States citizens. Go to the federal system and please check that. The majority of the people that they are being arrested trafficking illicit narcotics into the United States are United States citizens. Clearly, you have another problem with it. It is not only that you have a problem with your dirty politicians, it's not only that you have a problem with bad policies, it's not only that you have a bad president like we have a bad president, but you're not providing any solution in your country. You're providing a solution to attack. Like that is going to eliminate addiction. Use this. This is where you use. That is what you use. You got dirty politicians that they're voting for open borders, that they're not prioritizing the security of people of Texas, of people of Arizona, of people of California. You live in Texas, right? Do you know where has been the most mass migration in the whole country? Should I tell you that? The state that has been flooded with irregular migration, possibly in the history of the United States of America. Do you know which state is that in the whole United States? You live in Texas, right? Open border policies do not work. Attack the problem within. Get the problem resolved by within. Push the politicians of Mexico to do exactly the same. They're corrupt. They're bought off. Expand that. Expose them. Sit down with them. Talk to them. If you don't do this, this is what we're going to do. Use your brain. Because when you're speaking like this, and you want the Latino vote, right? That's what you want, right? The Latino vote. You're speaking like this, you're not going to get no Latino to vote for you. I'm going to tell you like that. The solution is within. You have terrorist organizations operating in your country right now, that they are in cahoots with the cartel. If you eradicate and you eliminate that problem by within, you will stop the consume. And you put a little bit of conscience into schools, into children, to not use the drug, you will lower the consume. And at the same time, you implement border security. And you implement that border security and those border policies that it will affect the other side of town. Do you know how the economy was boosting when they put a threat of a tariff into Mexico? Investors were coming nonstop to every border town because the level of criminal violence, the level of kidnappings, the level of violence of women gas going down. War is never a solution. Thank you so much for joining in. How's everybody doing? God bless you all. Thank you for joining in. 58 minutes going in. And another point, the U.S. is allowing gang members from other countries in through the broken migration policies. That is a reality. Look at Arizona, what is happening to Arizona. Arizona has the highest detentions of pedophiles, sex offenders in the whole country when they're coming in. Arizona has it. Nobody else has it. Arizona has it. Nobody else. The highest level of detentions in terms to terrorists that they have come into with this open border policies, sex offenders, child molesters, and gang members has been through Arizona. Through that part that we always go, that is Yuma. That is the part. And now you got a governor push these politicians. Fix your radical leftist system that is inside of your country. Make the United States strong like it was. Have that power. And us as Mexicans, we're demanding every day for justice. Wasn't enough, Mr. Crenshaw, that the other day you saw hundreds of thousands of Mexicans in the city of Mexico protesting against the policies of this president to interfere in the electoral college and to try to restore the electoral college. Hundreds of thousands. We are against his hugs and no bullets system. By you fixing your problem, making an example of your country, that will have an effect. Look what Bukele is doing. He's being an example of Latin America. Everybody wants a president like that, like Nayib Bukele. Everybody wants a president like that. It is really easy to point the finger, but it's really difficult to fix it from within. Bless you all. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you all. This is a live broadcast done on Friday, March 10th, 11:34 in the morning. We have been to almost 1 hour and 52 seconds going in. I will accept one comment or one question if people want to ask, and I will put it on the screen, and I will develop I will talk about the topic of the question. So I will take a minute right here to wait. I will take the question right now. And we know that politicians are being bought off in the United States and over here in Mexico. We already know that. We're not going to touch on that because it's just going back to the same circle. We already know that. We already said that we know that the cartels and the organized crime are buying politicians. We already know that. It's talking about the same situation. Everybody in the world knows that. That is a topic that is no necessary to be talking about. Clearly, abrazos no balazos, hugs no bullets is not the solution for our country. Absolutely not. We know that. So go ahead. One question. I will address one question. 1 hour and 2 minutes going in. And for everybody, buy me a coffee. It is in the bottom link. If you guys like to contribute to our independent reporting and travel fund, we are going to be traveling soon. So thank you so much. We walk the walk and we talk the talks. So when we say we're traveling, we're traveling. This is a comment right here. And this, why can't border states just close their borders? I believe that closing the border, it is the worst solution ever. The term, it is secure the border. That is the term. The term is secure the border. That is what it needs to be done. If you close the border, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You have an international agreement of commerce that is providing you, the lower class and middle class family jobs, and also us, the lower class, middle class family jobs, and also Canada. It's an international agreement with 3 countries. Close the borders, you're closing everything. The commercial line, the international export-import line, the international export-import with the international ports of entry, with boats, international boats. You're closing that. It is to secure the border. Policies that secure the border. Policies that will implement a mindset that it will change the youth that is coming up to understand that that is wrong, this is right. Now everybody in the United States, the youth of the United States, is burning a flag. It is okay. Disrespecting the United States flag. It is okay. Teachers are putting woke flags inside of their classrooms like that is okay. Implementing the mindset of transgenderism inside of a class instead of teaching Spanish, teaching English, teaching math, teaching chemistry. That is your job, not teaching gender. That is what you need to. Priority, your country, your country, your country. Secure the borders, fix policies, fix loopholes, and it will change. Thank you so much for joining in. It has been a pleasure talking to you guys. Follow me at Facebook, follow me at YouTube, follow me at Telegram, follow me at Twitter, follow me at Instagram as Oscar Blue Media and Oscar Blue Team, follow me at Getter, follow me at TikTok as Oscar L. Blue. Follow me everywhere. Also, follow my partner, Real Anthony Agüero. Follow Ben Berquam, Frontline America, Real America's Voice News. Also, follow every single media that is that we follow. God bless you all. Stay safe. It has been a pleasure talking to you guys this morning. And like we always say, people, God's plan is our mission. Stay safe.
We're in the middle of everything. They're carrying a child. Look at this. They're carrying a child. Look at this. This is horrible.
Ustedes tienen familia, somos inmigrantes, no somos delincuentes. Somos inmigrantes, no somos delincuentes.
Discúlpeme, oficial. They haven't encapsulated them. They're pushing. Now they're pushing. Some of them, they're escaping underneath to the ranches. Look at this, man. They're throwing rocks. They're hitting the National Guard officers. Throwing rocks over here.
Gosh, what a scene to see really unfolding here, and having them use that rope so that they're all able to stay together is really interesting to see all this happen, Oscar.
violence and homicides. Due to this factor, the military will head north to Tijuana. Entry of San Isidro next door to the city of Tijuana, Mexico. But migrants looking for asylum from Ukraine arrived to the
Roto, señores, las barreras. Ya no los pueden controlar. They have broke the barriers. They cannot control them.